Hi, welcome to the Brickfilmers Guild podcast, hosted by us, the Four Monkeys. On this podcast, we had the extreme pleasure of chatting with Forrest Whaley, the famous YouTuber known as Forest Fire 101. Forrest began making brick films on YouTube in May of 2007 at the age of 13. His channel now has 850,000 subscribers and close to 750 million views. He is mostly known for his edgy, witty parodies of Batman and other superheroes. Most of the videos on his channel have well over 1 million views each. He's been featured on Nickelodeon and has done commission work for Stupid Buddy Studios, Geek and Sundry, Disney, and Epic Rap Battles. This podcast is sponsored by Brickstuff. Brickstuff makes the smallest commercially available lights for Lego models, and their wires are the thinnest available. You can snap Lego bricks, plates, and tiles directly on top of the lights and wires. You can hide them in anything you build, and there's no electronics experience needed. Check out Brickstuff lights at www.brickstuff.com and see how to take your builds and brick films to the next level. Recently, we created a Patreon account. This is to help support our podcast and inspire more frequent episodes. We'd love it if you would support us there, but either way, our podcast will always be available for free. So, without further ado, here's our conversation with Forrest. So good morning, Forrest. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Good to be here.
And we know we've caught you pretty early, which we appreciate. So if you need to take any coffee breaks, feel free.
All right, I'm already way ahead of you.
Happy 10-year anniversary on YouTube.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that happened recently, and I kind of didn't even realize it, but yeah, that is true.
Time flies.
Yeah, I'm like a veteran basically now.
You definitely are. I mean, we've totally enjoyed watching you grow up over the years. I mean, not only seeing you, but hearing your voice changes and
yeah, right.
Go from
Just physically. Yeah,
big time.
That's pretty neat.
Seriously. So it's been fun.
I think I started when I was 13. So now I'm 23. Yeah.
Wow.
Did you do anything before you started your YouTube channel, stop motion wise?
No, I think stop motion was how I got started pretty much. Before that, I was really into making comic books and drawing, and the frustration there was always like the characters didn't move. They were all static. No matter how well I drew them, no matter how cool the comic was, like I couldn't see them in motion, and like that's something I always wanted to achieve. So, when my parents bought me a camera on Christmas, I just kind of went in and started animating because like that was the only thing I could do was animate the stuff around me, like action figures and Legos and whatnot.
So was Spider vs. Sandman your first brick film?
I think that's the first one on my channel, but I think I did some even worse ones before that, like some even crappier ones. And I think those are on my second channel, like uploaded in this one video where I compiled a bunch of my oldest videos. It's like a Forest Fire vault.
Okay, one of the things that really stood out on that was the sand, how you used the sand. I thought that was really cool.
No, I thought the whole thing was fantastic. Yeah, I mean, 13 years old, that was so impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, I remember that was like a kind of a lot of trouble because the sand would get everywhere, and I had to keep adding more sand, and by the end of the production, it was just like there's sand all over my room. It was awful, but worth it. It's always worth it in the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's great seeing older work like that, but I mean, it's just mind-blowing how well you did that at such a young age. I love the music too. It went perfect with the video.
Yeah. Green Day, Espionage.
Well, of course. Now, beyond your name being Forrest, was there anything else that inspired the naming of your YouTube channel, Forest Fire 101?
Well, it was always kind of like everyone who met me would associate my name with Forrest Gump, and that's a really good movie, and I like it and everything, but I was like, how do I kind of brand myself? How do I step outside of the Forrest Gump and make my own thing? So I was like, okay, Forest Fire, makes sense because, I've got the fire And then I was like, that was taken, I think, that specific name. So I was like, all right, I'll add 101 because it's like we're in a classroom and I'm going to school everybody on how to do it.
Wow, that's awesome. That's a good idea. Yeah, that's definitely a more powerful name than Forrest Gump.
But later on, I decided like Forest Fire Films because that kind of has a catchier ring to it. But at that point, I'd already got in the Forest Fire 101. But I think it's better because like if I had started it as Forest Fire Films, especially today, like I feel like there would be like this perception that I'm not a YouTuber, that I'm like a company. And it's kind of cool to have the Forest Fire 101 like all in lowercase because it reminds us that like, oh yeah, this is just a username. This is just an actual person, behind this channel.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, ours is all in lowercase, and that's we've just kept it that way. So. Yeah,
and a lot of companies like want to look as legitimate as possible, and I don't know. Sometimes that's like a turnoff. Sometimes it's cool to be a little less legitimate.
I know a lot of people will, for some reason, change their YouTube name completely, which everybody's, is free to do whatever they want. I personally think it's just better to stick with what people know. They know you as that, and then they can remember you
it's just frustrating, because like I thought about changing my name once, but I was just like, it's just going to be confusing and cause an upset for no reason. Like that's what happened with Freddie W, because everybody knows Freddie W, but then he changed it to Rocket Jump or Rocket League or whatever it's called, and and now it's more of like a corporation, and he's not really the face of it anymore, and that whole channel is kind of not where it used to be.
I didn't even know he changed it. See, I mean, and how are you supposed to remember that?
Yeah, right,
so,
right,
it's just
totally.
Making it inconvenient for everybody. So.
Well, yeah, I'm glad that you guys never change your channel, but I mean you do have a few different channels, right? You have like a gaming channel and.
We don't have a gaming channel anymore. We had one, but we weren't really making any stuff there. But that was just sort of the lock in the name, the Four Monkeys 2. But we never used that. We made the Four Monkeys 4. It's kind of a long story, but it was
when YouTube kind of dropped us as a partner, and so just because of YouTube changing, it kind of forced us to have to make different channels. And then with each new channel, they forced you to create a Google. So I've got like 1 million Google accounts. I don't even know what they are.
Yeah, me too. I've got like 3 different Google accounts for every channel I have. It's like, I don't know. It's like ridiculous.
I don't know
ridiculous. I mean, I'm glad I'm not the one like plugging these things in and writing this code. That just sounds like not fun.
I miss the old days of YouTube when it was more social and people would comment on your channel and.
Yeah, it definitely has like lost something, but I think it's also like gained. I think it's gained so much. Like there's so many more viewers now that it's kind of less personal. So there's more people watching, there's more people on the site, but there's less of communication. If that makes any sense.
It does, and I understand they have to change with the times, but I tend to be more old school, so it's kind of harder for me to change and do that.
Well. That's why you got this podcast. That's why you got the the Facebook page and everything, and everything that you guys do for the brick filming community is like really helpful, I think.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. We try. Yeah. So you're from Missouri, near St. Louis.
Yeah, that's where I was raised. I was born in Texas, and then like my parents moved back to my mom's hometown of St. Louis when I was like 1, and I grew up there, and I was homeschooled. And, when I turned 18, I moved out here to Los Angeles, and that's where I am now.
And have you been there the whole time, or did you ever move back to Missouri for a little while?
I moved back to Missouri for a year in 2013, I believe. And because I was just like, kind of like, it was like shell shock moving to LA for the first time. But then, like, after that year, I was like, well, I really have to be in LA. And so I've been in LA since, and I'm actually considering moving back like next year, like later next year, probably like sometime early summer. But that's kind of to film Zombie Universe 3 and to do a bunch of other things. And I kind of realized like I don't have to choose. I can kind of like flip flop back and forth if I want to, because I have the means and I have the ability. So why not?
And I'm sure your mom is always happy when you're back. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I have so many like friends and family and people who I really care about, and I really feel like now more than ever is the time to be around them because, in 5 years or so, 8 years, my friends are going to be all married and they're going to start having kids. And, that'll be a really great time for all of them. But, I mean, I think now's the time where we can really, be young and have fun. So I'm gonna try to kind of take advantage of that and capture as much of it as I can on film.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. I mean, those are the kind of friendships you have for life, so you always want to nurture them, and, they're special.
Right, right. And yeah, and I've made enough connections in LA here, and I've done enough work for studios and stuff that I feel comfortable, like, leaving, and they're not going to go anywhere. I mean, I think the studios are still going to be here, when I come back. So yeah, I'm just trying to, figure out what's best for me and the projects that I want to create.
And I got to give kudos to your parents because your parents are so sweet. I love your mom. Hi, Rachel. In case you're listening, Dave and I are ready to hit up little 5 points next time you're in Atlanta. But yeah, I mean, they obviously did a great job raising you and your brother. I mean, you guys are like super sweet. You always have been. Ever since the first time I ever talked to you, you've always been like respectful and sweet. And I don't know if it's okay to let people know you're such a sweetheart. We can always edit that out. but no, you are.
No, that's all a credit to my mom and my dad and what the values that they instilled in me, and so yeah, no, I think I really appreciate that comment, and I'm sure my mom would too, because she worked really hard raising us. It wasn't easy. She homeschooled us. She was never a teacher before. She didn't know anything about that kind of stuff, and she really did a kick-ass job.
That's awesome. Cool. Also, Atlanta is the up-and-coming Hollywood, so you never know. You might want to come to Atlanta sometime.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
A lot of movies and TV shows being made here now, so.
That's super cool. I think they shot Baby Driver there, right?
Maybe
that movie.
I don't know. I was down at the studios for Guardians of the Universe. I had a gig down there. It was
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, I'm just an idiot. But got to go into one of their studios down. I think it's Pinewood Studios, south of Atlanta, and it's a really cool campus down there. Did a little press junket for Guardians of the Galaxy.
But they do The Walking Dead here and tons of other things. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the way we're going, like, especially in the age of the internet. You don't really have to be in Los Angeles anymore. That's absolutely where you used to have to be if you wanted to work in film. But now it's changing, and people are more mobile.
Yeah, definitely. So now being where you're living now, where do you currently create your brick films?
I've got a studio in the back of my house, and working on a big shot actually right now. It's like an Instagram promotional thing for a movie. It's Italian, just like a I guess I probably shouldn't talk about it, but I'm also working on a Lego Batman video that's like my own video, and I'm working on kind of like a conclusion to my Lego Batman series right now. It's not going to end completely, but it's like a conclusion to this arc of stories.
Right. That's awesome. Definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah. And you're going to be in it too.
I am, right? And I'm so excited.
Yeah. I think so. I'm pretty certain.
I don't know. My memory's so bad, Who knows? So your first Batman brick film was Lego Batman, the Spider-Man team up. You did your own music, your own sound effects, 3.5 million views. Amazing.
That's it?
That's it?
Are you serious? Wait, what's it called?
It was their second brick film, at least what's on your YouTube channel, the one after the Spider-Man, Sandman thing.
Okay.
It was, I think you had just almost turned 14, or maybe you were just 13, I can't remember. I think it came out in September of 07.
I loved hearing you do all of your, all the voices and the music, and it's adorable. Yeah. I mean, I gotta say it, it just is.
And it was good, for a 13-year-old. It actually, inspired me.
Good.
And but my gosh, the amount of you've increased your skills over the last 10 years just is mind blowing, though. But that first one was fun to watch, and it's enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, you are the reason a lot of brick filmers got started including us, because it was our son that introduced us to your channel and said, "Hey, look what you can." We were doing stop motion with like trains and stuff, but never with Lego. And then he showed us your channel, and we're like, "Oh wow, that's cool."
I could give that a shot.
It was all because of you. Seriously.
That's super cool. Yeah, I think that's been the most like rewarding part is like seeing other people get inspired by it and seeing other people in their style and like what they bring to the medium, because like really all brick films look the same. It's kind of like what the characters do and what they say that makes them different, in the animation, of course, but it's kind of like with Lego you can tell any story, and it's interesting to see like this kind of stories that people choose to tell.
Yeah, there's no limit, your imagination. It's just endless. So
yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I'm looking at this one now. Yeah, the Spider-Man team-up video. It's got like 3.5 million. Just because because I mean, it's not at like 10 million because it's just not as good as some of the older ones. I mean, as some of the later ones that came out after. Mm-hmm. But this is the one that kicked it off. This is the one that started it all. And it was kind of that thing where I knew as a kid, like, they're never going to do a Batman and Spider-Man team-up movie because they're owned by two different companies. And as a kid, I'm just like, that's dumb. I'm going to make my own movie, where they do team up. And, other people want to see that too.
So in those early days of writing, was it just you writing the scripts? Did you have other people helping you out? Did your mom mind the language at all?
I think my friend Mason Howardson, he has always helped me write in one way or another. As far as the language, yeah, I mean, my biggest inspiration for like writing and kind of like storytelling probably would be like Robot Chicken and South Park. So both of those, are heavy on the profanity, and it was always something that like my mom was always chill with because she didn't really believe in censorship. She didn't really believe in like telling a kid what he could and couldn't watch. Like, the only thing she told me I couldn't watch when I was a kid was Kill Bill and Team America World Police.
Which one?
Because Team it had America a sex scene like with puppets. But then she let me watch that eventually, I think when I was like 14 or 15 or something. But for a while I couldn't watch Kill Bill, and I was like, man, this movie must be so freaking good. Like, I can't wait to watch this movie. Then it was great.
Yeah. Have you seen Sausage Party?
Yeah, I did. I was pleasantly surprised by that. It was not as crass and like bad as I thought it was going to be. I found myself like really enjoying it. I saw it in the theater.
Okay, I watched that a while back. I enjoyed it, but Kim did not.
Well, I mean, it was okay. I mean, I guess it was cute. It was, I don't know.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's kind of like if the cuteness can like outshine the profanity of it. If the performances are good enough, it can rise above the material sometimes. But yeah, it's really hard to write something that's like legitimately funny, and I think it has to come from a place of like deep respect and like love for like the source material, and so like that's why like a lot of my stuff is like based on things that I actually like, and then just like subverting those things completely, like taking Batman, who's like the best, most courageous character, and making him like a total jerk who, is reluctant to fight and reluctant to do things, and kind of like flipping his whole ideology around, makes it into a comedy. So kind of doing that with each different character is that's kind of like the basis of parody. But like when you're coming up with your own characters, when you're coming up with like original stuff like Sausage Party, it's like that's just a blank slate. And some of the jokes didn't land, but I thought more jokes landed than not, and it was a good movie. Okay. I liked it a lot.
But yeah, I think the reason we liked your work from when we first saw it, even 13, 14 years old, you were really writing adult scripts, and so obviously it resonated with us, and we just always really enjoyed them. Still do, even more so now.
Thanks. Yeah, they're just so hard to produce now. Like back in the day, I could write a script in like a day, record the whole thing in like a day or two, and then start animating. Probably animate for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then you got a whole like 10-minute episode. But now if you want a 10-minute episode like the one I'm currently working on, I think it's probably gonna be around 7 or 8 minutes. It's gonna take the better part of a year.
Wow. But it's worth
and
it,
that's just the reality. That's just the cold hard truth.
Yeah,
Unless there's like a lot of money put behind it. Like if I was able to, drop, 20 grand on this production and hire animators, then it'd probably be done a lot quicker. And I've done that kind of thing in the past, but I can't really do that every single video. I'm not at that point yet.
Yeah.
But you will be one day. I know you will.
Yeah, I've thought about it. It's complicated because it's like it's so unique and so personal and so me. It's hard to kind of like relinquish that ability and like hire other people and bring other people in on it, because at the end of the day I'm really just making fan fiction, and I don't know, it's always worked better kind of just like with just me kind of doing everything. And I've learned to kind of like relinquish some of that control and like give it to other people, and like that's been really fun. That's been the best part about living in LA, is just like finding people to work with who can teach you new things.
Yeah, that's what we're lacking here, and you definitely have a lot of great people to work with there.
We'll definitely dive into that.
Yeah,
more.
we'll dive into that a little bit later. But so from 2007 to 2009, you made around 30 more Brick films and a few live action videos, and then you created the Duck Song, which is your biggest success as of today. It now has over
Right.
250 million views. We have the book, we have the T-shirt, and we have the app. So, what's the backstory on the Duck Song video, and how did you get connected with the musician?
Well, it's a funny story actually. My cousin Anna, she showed me the song originally, and I think it was a lyric video. It was on Brian's channel. Brian Oden, the guy who made the Duck Song, he lives in Colorado, and it was on his channel, and it was a lyric video made in like Windows Movie Maker, and I think it had like 3,000 views, and she was like, "This is a really good song. You should make it into a music video, like one of your animations." And I was like, "Okay, I'll do it." And I contacted him, asked him if I could make the video, and he's like, "Sure, go ahead." And I think I made the video in like a day. Like honestly, I think I drew the characters in Paint, and then I used this program called Pivot. It was for like stick figure animations, but you could import like PNGs. Like from Windows Paint, and animate them across the screen, and it's literally just like so simple, like probably one of the quickest videos I made, and that's the one that resonated the most with the online community. It's really really interesting.
Well, it's interesting. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, just because I think it's like just that perfect combination of like the simpleness of the song and the simpleness of the animation, and like they kind of just go hand in hand.
Yeah. What's interesting about your YouTube channel? I mean, you're known for Brick films, but 4 of the 5 most viewed videos on your channel are animations that are not Brick films. It's kind of interesting.
That is true. Yeah, I never thought about it. Yeah, I'm gonna check that.
And you've been, and we'll get into it more later, but you've been doing other animations that aren't Brick films. So, but we'll get to that later.
All right, so your Nickelodeon interview, you had 38,000 subscribers at the time. And
wow, that's it.
I know. So then what happened to your YouTube channel after that interview? Just blew up.
Did it?
Well, I think months later or a year later is at 100,000, then 200, and I think you're around 750,000, if not more, at the moment.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Yeah, you guys are giving me like a crash course history lesson on my own channel.
Crash course in Forrest
cool.
Fire 101.
Yeah, awesome.
What was it like
I
to
guess
do that?
I wonder if that was like correlated. Yeah, I wonder how many like subscribers I actually got from that. I don't know if anyone ever actually watched that Nick News thing.
We watched it.
Yeah, but I mean like people like who are coming in fresh. I wonder if, because like when I was a kid, whenever that Nick News stuff came on, I always just turned it off or switched the channel. I just can't imagine kids like watching that, but maybe it's possible.
So was that like your first? That must have been your first big interview.
Yeah, that was the first time it was real for me. That was the first time someone came to my house and said like, what you're doing is interesting. Let us film you and have you talk about it. And I'm like, oh, like this is like bigger than what I could even think it could be. It was interesting. Yeah, it was kind of an eye-opening experience at a young age, and kind of set the bar.
Yeah, definitely. So do people recognize you when you're out and about?
Not too often. I've had a couple times like at Disneyland and like at theme parks sometimes. But it's always chill. Like if people like want to talk to me, I always encourage that. Because like a lot of times people will ask for my autograph or they'll ask to get a photo with me, and then like they'll run away like right after. I guess they just wanted the photograph or they just wanted the autograph or whatever. But I'm like, I'm down to talk. Like I'm just a normal guy like you. I want to talk about film. Like I'm not doing anything.
Well, they probably wanted to run away and scream with excitement.
Yeah, right.
I mean, because it is. I mean, he's like, oh my God, it's Forrest Whaley, it's like it's exciting for them.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, and then I've also had people, call me, like call my phone. Somehow they get my number. I don't know how they find it. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, that's kind of rude, but okay.
I shouldn't be publicly listed anywhere, but yeah, sometimes they call me and they're like, "Is this Forest Fire?" I'm like, "Don't call this number."
Block. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the theme park. When we went to Disney World, that was a long time ago, but I was wearing my duck shirt and we were in the Lego store that they have there, and I saw these kids pointing, because they recognized.
Yeah.
Well, I hope they were pointing at that anyway, but
Yeah, right. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's
Thanks
cool. Thanks for advertising.
Thanks for repping the duck,
My pleasure. It's always fun wearing that shirt. I love it. Oh, you're up. Go ahead.
Oh, me? Which one? This one?
Yeah.
Mason?
Yeah, Mason.
Yeah, we kind of spoke about him, but you've been friends with Mason for quite a while?
Probably grew up together.
Yeah, ever since we met in a homeschool group because he was also homeschooled, and we met in this like park day that we went to when we were, I think, around like 6 or 7, and I think he actually punched me in the gut. Like
Wow.
He was like, we got into some kind of altercation, and they say the quickest way to make friends with a man is to have a fight with him. So I guess that stands true.
Foreshadowing for future things. So.
Yeah. So yeah, he's back in St. Louis now. He comes out periodically to help me with voices or to write or to help produce. But yeah, he's kind of just a jack of all trades. He's got his own stuff going on. He just started spinning poi, which are like these 2 balls on strings, and you can make different patterns with them. And it's kind of like juggling, but it's different. And he just I just bought him these poi that light up. They have like the cord itself lights up like LED, and the balls themselves light up and change colors as he spins. And it's really pretty. And he might start a YouTube channel soon where he shows you different moves and practices and whatnot.
That's cool. I saw a picture of him holding them. I just didn't exactly know what they did.
Yeah. You spin them around and you make patterns, and you can also light them on fire, and that's kind of like the main event is lighting them on fire and spinning them. It sounds really cool too. It sounds like the universe is tearing open.
That's like what they do in luau's and stuff like that. Is that what that is?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, he could totally do it for parties for sure, or weddings or whatever.
Oh wow, that's a great idea.
People would love that.
So because your videos have always had a mature edge to them, I'm sure you've experienced a lot of backlash from whether it be Lego community or YouTubers. I know people making comments, which, haters are going to hate. I mean, everybody has that. But I imagine it was probably really hard for you when you were younger to hear a lot of those bad comments. Yeah,
I think it really was helpful because I was able to develop a thick skin from a young age. I mean, I used to do theater when I was a kid. I used to be in plays and stuff. So I've never been a shy person. I've never been like, oh, don't look at me. I've always been like, look at me. And so it's kind of like just natural for me to be in the spotlight, and for people to even be talking about me, I consider that a positive. Any news is good news.
That's true.
So, anytime I see someone hating, or like you said, being a hater or whatever, I'm just like, I'm glad this person is imbued with passion. I'm glad this person has opinions. I'm glad this person, is thinking about this stuff and, wants to comment, because most people, would just move on. But something about this video triggered something in them and made them want to post a comment, to post their opinion. And I think any kind of debate is good. I think any kind of calling me out, calling me on my shit, I think that's really good, because like you honestly learn way more from those kind of comments than you do from the comments that say, LOL, or good job, or can't wait to see the next one. Those are all great, and I love reading those comments too. But I just don't learn as much from them.
Wow, I think that is the best attitude I've ever heard. I think everybody really needs to listen to that over and over again, because a lot of people really can't, or they get hurt. They really do get upset, and you just can't let them get to you like that. But that's such a great way of looking at it, though. I love that.
Yeah, totally. I think it's cool to have something that is diversive and creates a kind of a debate, because then people talk about it amongst themselves in the comments, and that's just more people coming back and more views, more comments.
Well, it's funny looking back on it. I'm sure I got more pissed off about those comments than you did. So guess I didn't.
Oh, my mom I think my mom gets the angriest out of everybody. Yeah, she'll kind of text me sometimes, and she'll be like, "You see what this asshole said about you?" I'll be like, "I don't care, Mom." I get lots of comments, every day, every hour. It's like not a big deal, and she's like, "I just can't believe there's people out here like that, and they don't even know you." And but it's cool, like when you post stuff online, when you say, "Hey, look at me," you're inviting that criticism, and I think that's the part where people get tripped up. Like, I think sometimes like people will get upset if someone calls them out or criticizes their work, and that's natural. But if you're posting it online, you have to expect that. You have to expect people to be that way.
I guess it's just that the way I look at it, yeah, it's great to criticize if you feel you need to do that, but there's always a nice way to criticize. You don't have to be rude and nasty. And
that's so true.
Trolls will be trolls.
I know. So it always irritates me the most when somebody's giving criticism and they're just rude about it, because actually I've had, when YouTube was more social, I had so many young kids saying, I'm getting bullied at school because I'm doing this, or, they're just being so hateful. And it really hurts these people. That I don't think they realize what they're doing to these people by being so rude to them.
But yeah, the point I was getting at was like, the only way you can really criticize a movie is to make another movie. And a comment is just like, at the end of the day, it's only a comment. It's only a comment on a video, and like, at least you made something. And the person who's commenting, all they made was a comment.
True that.
Love that. I think we need to put that in writing, wear it up, put it on a shirt. I just love it.
Yeah, and making anything new is always a positive, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Anything you're doing is creative. Anything creative you can do is only a good thing.
Totally. So yeah, it's always good to encourage people instead of like tearing them down, especially when they're at a young age. When they're first starting, they're first developing. At this point, where I'm at, I feel like I'm always looking for a challenge. I'm always looking for something to do that's bigger than what I did before. And so I feel like even now I invite more criticism. I kind of wish people criticize my stuff more, or put it under more scrutiny, because so many of my comments now, sounds like a stupid thing to complain about, but so many of them are like, this is so good, and back in the day, it was kind of like there were a lot more haters, or a lot more people complaining about stuff. And like, that's kind of what drove me to get better, was like, oh, like that guy said that last video, well, I'm going to change it and make it, not like that in this video. And now it's kind of gotten to a point, at least with the Lego stuff, where I'm like, there's not a whole lot more I can do to make it, perfect.
Well, that's why you're not getting any complaints.
Yeah. So what I really have been trying to focus on is just writing and dialogue, and making sure it's a good story, and those kinds of things have become more important to me.
So obviously you have a major natural talent, but have you actually taken any filmmaking classes, college courses?
I don't think so. I've been like to a couple of workshops. Like, I remember like when I was still homeschooling, my mom signed me up for this like media class at the library, and I got to work with a bunch of like kids who are my age, who were interested in making like public service announcements for the library. So I made one about like return your books on time, or like this is what the library is used for, or like we did like a book review or like a book recreation, and we like recreated the book Twilight because there are like more girls in the class than boys, and they all voted for Twilight, so that's what we had to recreate.
Did you?
But yeah, I've never had any like traditional like training or anything. I'd always wanted to go to film school, but it's just so damn expensive.
Did you? And maybe I'm just remembering this. Did you ever do anything at or with Webster College?
Yeah. I took a semester or two at Webster University when I was still like in high school, because it was like a dual enrollment kind of thing where I could get high school credit and college credit at the same time. So I was like, sign me up.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
But I just realized like college wasn't really, the thing I wanted to spend all my time on. It just didn't seem like okay, study for this test, and it's like 4 years later, I don't know. I would have rather used that 4 years to make like some epic Lego video.
That's probably time better spent in many cases.
Yeah. But if it's like something, I've always just felt like film is not really, or like art in general, you don't really have to go to school to be an artist. I mean, that's kind of like, you go to school to be, a pilot. You go to school to be, a teacher. I don't know. It's just, it's something, or a dentist, it's like, it's just, art is like, I feel like so subjective that it's hard to teach.
Right. No, I agree with that. I mean, for the specialty things, I agree. College is important because obviously it's necessary. You can't get in these things without it. But otherwise, yeah, they do take a lot of money. So
yeah. But yeah, I do really like teachers. Like, like I think if you have like good teachers and you find the right mentors, then it can be really helpful.
Absolutely.
So you do have a lot of live action things, videos that you've made. Did you just say you were making another Zombie Universe?
Yeah, so Mason and I have written Zombie Universe 3 pretty much, and really it's something that like is never going to get made unless we just start. And so I think that's one of the big reasons I want to move back to St. Louis, is just so I can start on Zombie Universe 3, because I know there's scenes that we could film like right now. Mm-hmm. But there's other scenes that, are going to take a lot of time and thought and forethought and money to put together. So it's like I'd rather just get started shooting it and, have things that I can piece in and kind of assemble it like a jigsaw puzzle instead of like doing it so linearly. Okay. So yeah, and especially with the advancements that like technology and camera equipment has made. I mean, it's insane the kind of stuff you can do now. Like, especially with like drones, you can take a drone, like a 4K drone, 500 meters up in the air, and then have it come straight down and do like a panning shot that you could never get in any kind of like film before unless you had a helicopter.
Do you own a drone?
No, not yet, but I'm gonna purchase one for Zombie Universe 3, because there's gonna be some sweet like wide shots and like some really cool like effect shots. This one's gonna be just so much more thought out and so much more kind of like engaging than the original two. It's gonna be a completely different animal. It's kind of gonna hit the gas like right at the beginning of the movie, and it's not gonna let up until right at the end.
But it'll be funny. It'll be funny, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be a comedy. It'll be an action. I just want to. I think it'll be shorter too. Like I want to make it like 30 minutes or less.
Okay.
Because I don't think the story is like so big that it is going to take like an hour or two. So yeah, I'm just going to try to make it as fast paced as possible. I kind of want to make it like Captain America Nazi Zombies, but with just with people, essentially.
Excellent. Another one of your live actions that stood out was in your Christmas special 3, Your Bad Karma. That was a kick-ass fight.
Thanks. Yeah, that was one too where like, yeah, I really liked how it turned out, but I thought I could just use like a tightening. Like there were just shots that went on too long, and I think the whole thing was probably like that one in particular was like 6 or 7 minutes. And it really could have just been like 3 minutes, and it would have been more effective, maybe 3 or 4 minutes. So that's something I've been trying to, get better with my live action stuff. Is like, you can just shoot it, and it's easy to shoot, so you think, oh, I'm going to use this footage because it'll make the story longer. This is a really good shot. I really like this kind of pacing, but you got to kind of see it from like a separate point of view. Someone who isn't you, what would they think of this? And so I'm trying to cut it to be quicker and more relatable and fast paced.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Live action stuff is just really tough though, because it's like you never really get it exactly the way you want, that you see it in your head. Like a Lego movie is probably 80 to 90%, exactly what I see in my head. Whereas when you film a live action movie, it's probably like half. It's probably like 50%.
You got so many other factors working into the live action things that you really can't account for.
Exactly. Yeah, and that can be good or bad. There are certain scenes, or situations in live action that you never thought would happen, and it's like it just happened that way, and it really worked out, and it's really surprising. I think they call those like happy accidents.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So it's really fun to do live action. I mean, it's the most engaging, it's the time when I feel like the most alive, and I know that's what I want to do with my future, is to just keep directing live action stuff. But really, it's about finding the right project, finding something that you're willing to put all your time into, because that's what it takes to get those kinds of things off the ground.
Cool. So let's talk about Keshin, the man of 1,000 voices, who's been an amazing addition to your Brick films. So how and when did you guys first connect?
Well, I think I first connected with Keshin after he uploaded his Dark Knight recreation in Lego, because I also made a Dark Knight trailer recreation in Lego, and we were both just like, we both made one, like, let's start talking. And he's basically been like my pen pal ever since. We still talk often and like relate to each other, and he's been, just been such a good friend, and it's funny, he's like the best friend that I've never met.
Guess that answers that. You have not met in person. So.
Yeah. Sean Willits once met him because Keshin was in town working with JJ and Spielberg on some Creo animation, but I just happened to not be in town at the time, and I've never met him, but he said I could come and visit him in Australia whenever I want, so eventually I'll make the trek out there.
It's a long flight.
It is, but it'd be worth it though.
Totally, yeah. I went to Korea last year, and that was really fun, but I think I'd enjoy Australia more.
Wow. That must have been a cool trip, though. I mean, wow.
Yeah. It was a long flight. It was cool though. It was just a good chance to catch some Z's, and there were a lot of military people on that flight. There's a huge military base in South Korea, like American military. So I got to like listen to this guy like talk about all that for like 14 hours. So that was fun.
Wow.
So Sean Willits, you mentioned him, another important collaborator that you work with, and how did you guys connect?
I kind of sought Sean out more. I was like, I saw his channel. I was familiar with his work for a while, and then when I moved to LA, I was like, this is the guy, that I want to work with. This is the guy who can, we can really make a partnership happen. And so when I moved out here the second time, I asked him if he wanted to move in with me, and he was game, and we started working together a lot more, and then we both started working for Robot Chicken, the studio that makes Robot Chicken, Stupid Buddy. We both started working there, and he's been working there ever since, and it's been really cool to see his kind of like his career and evolve and rise, and it's just been something that's really cool, and then I want to happen for more Brickfilmers.
Yeah, we definitely want to talk to him in the future.
So that must have been
you should definitely have Sean on the show.
Yeah,
he's a must.
That must have been a surreal experience working for Stupid Buddy Studios.
It was, because like a lot of these guys, they don't know me, but like I know them. Like I literally, since I was 13, 14, I've bought every single season of Robot Chicken on DVD. And I would like religiously watch all the behind the scenes and the kind of special features, and like I was familiar with all the producers. I knew who they were. I knew their names, and it sounds creepy, but I was just really into it.
Well,
So I'm meeting these guys, shaking their hands, and they're introducing themselves to me, and I'm just like, I know you, like I know I already know all this. Like it's just it was so strange. It continues to be strange, but also kind of like, poetic at the same time. It makes sense.
I saw some pictures of their waiting room that Sean's mom shared on Facebook, and even it was like the coolest waiting room I've ever seen.
Yeah, they make it fun in there. They have clients come in a lot and oversee stuff. So it's like they want to not only make it fun for the animators and the people working there on the day today, but also for the people coming in and checking stuff out, the producers and whatnot. It's got to look professional. It's got to have a fun environment.
Well, Robot Chicken was the reason why I started doing stop motion. I was up late one night and it came on. I was like, I guess with computers and cameras these days, it would be pretty easy to do stop motion. So I got a copy of iStop Motion and was doing Matchbox cars, Hot Wheels cars, and trains. And then, of course, I got shown your stuff. And I was like, there's really creativity behind the Lego. Let's go there. So between you and Robot Chicken or Stupid Buddy, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing these days.
Totally, yeah. And when they were interviewing me and Sean, Sean and I, they're like, well, what inspired you to start stop motion? That was like one of their first questions, and I'm like, this show, like you guys, like you.
Awesome.
I'm sitting across from like the two owners of the company, and I'm like, it's you, like it's not anything else. It's just Robot Chicken. Because like you, I saw it, and it was like the first thing that I saw where I was like, oh, like this doesn't have to be like done by 100 professionals. This could be done in your garage by one person.
And was that Seth Green?
Well, there's Seth Green, and then there's Matthew Sunreich, and then there's Harv and Towner.
Okay.
So there's like 4 owners technically. But yeah, Harv and Towner are the ones who like run the studio on the day-to-day.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah, it's something where it's like it's really inspiring, I think, and it's like I'm glad that my videos have that same effect. It's pretty cool.
Definitely.
Cool. So the Lego the Hobbit project you worked on, I believe you worked on it with Sean. Did you use your normal camera for that, or did you do something different?
I think the Hobbit project was the first one I did where I started using the webcam. And that kind of opened up a lot of possibilities in terms of getting the shots that I've always wanted. Around, I think, at a certain point in time, I stopped using my old Handycam. I never used a webcam before. I think I had like an old Sony Handycam that I was using. Then I upgraded eventually at a certain point to a DSLR. And a DSLR is like kind of the standard, what most people use to shoot brick films at this point. But it really just doesn't – it's so big, it's so massive, it's like a whole house. I mean, a DSLR compared to the size of a minifigure is like enormous. So it's really hard to get the camera in there to get the kind of angles that you want and the shots that you want unless you really construct a set around the camera or do something really creative. It's really difficult to get those kind of angles. And with the webcam, I was able to kind of capture a more intimate, close proximity to the figures. I was able to actually drop the camera into the set and to animate it like it was a character. And it kind of changed everything because since then I've incorporated the webcam a lot, where I get the master wides, the beauty shots with the DSLR, and then for the closer, more grungy stuff, the up close personal action stuff, I use the webcam.
Oh, interesting. It actually that actually inspired me. I had to do some first person type shots for some Oyo videos, and I used a webcam for those, and they turned out all right. I just after you getting used to the DSLR quality, it was hard. Plus, my webcam's pretty old, but it worked out for the shots. So thank you for inspiring me to go at it that direction.
Yeah, right. Webcam's something you think of as like, oh, that's not something a professional would use. But really, it's not about being professional. It's about making the film that you want to make. It's about realizing your vision. So if that allows you to do it, then it's fair game. I think the the webcam I use is a Logitech C920. It's a 1080p webcam, but I'm looking forward to when they come out with like 4K webcams, because that'll definitely knock the quality up a few notches.
I might have to jump on that bandwagon too.
Yeah, and the other good thing to do with webcam footage too is to use like a noise reduction filter. I have this good one. It's called Neat Video. It's a plugin for After Effects, but basically takes all that extra fuzz and all that extra grain and it just flattens it, but without taking away the sharpness of the edges of the characters and the sets and everything.
Well, that's excellent. That's excellent.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so once you do that, and then once you color correct it to match the DSLR footage, it's really, especially after you upload it to YouTube, it's pretty like indistinguishable.
Cool. Well, another one of the things you've definitely stepped up probably over the last 4 or 5 years or so has been the lighting on your brick films. Can you tell us anything about what you're using and kind of any of your little secrets there?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people ask me about my lighting, and like it's basically what I do is I have like a lot of lights from Target. Just just really traditional standard like house lamps and just things, and then I just like put gels over them, like tape gels with like duct tape onto them, make them different colors, and I just have a lot of them, and I kind of just shift them, I move them around until I get it to a spot where it doesn't look horrible. Because when you first set up the shot, when you first put the camera in place and you put the lights down, it's going to look bad, and then you just kind of fiddle with it, and you fiddle with it, and you fiddle with it until it's at a place where you're like, okay, this is something, I would put up online. This is like something I'm proud of. And once it's at that place, you can just, tweak it to make it a little bit better anywhere you want. But at a certain point, you just got to say, all right, the shot's ready to go. And at Robot, they call it like launch, like you're launched. It's like a launch pad. And that's when the animation starts. And after animation, there's a whole other process of color correction where I go in and literally change the attributes of, the whole shot. A lot of times I'll be color correcting one side of the shot and then tracking that correction onto a moving shot, and then the other side of the shot is a different color. So I'm making a lot of decisions before and after shooting.
Wow.
Well, it looks great. So obviously it's working.
So, yeah. That's one of the things that's really fun too. Is kind of just like finding a look for every shot, finding a way to highlight the characters and to bring the eye to where it's supposed to be.
That's a good tip.
Excellent.
So you have some amazing collaborations. Zeus versus Thor, epic rap battles of History Season 4.
Yeah.
We watched that again today for like the third time. Of course, Thor won because everybody knows I love Thor. But that was just brilliant, just amazing.
How many people worked on that?
That was like I think 3 or 4 people on the video side. Mm-hmm. On the song side, I think it was Pete and Lloyd and I think a few other cats. But on my side, it was like that was a situation where we made that whole video in a month, and because I had a team of people working with me. That video had a budget, so I was able to hire Zach Macias. I was able to hire Sean, and also Hollingsworth. Paul did I think a little bit of compositing, masking, effects work. Because we just had to turn that one out really quick, and ended up being one of the finest videos I think we've ever produced. So I'm always looking forward to those kinds of challenges, those kinds of things where it's like when you're on a timer, when you're on a deadline, it kind of forces you to be even more creative.
And you learn a lot from working with other animators, which we haven't been able to do.
Did you guys animate equally together? Paul was doing a lot of that post work, compositing, but building the sets or animating. How did you divvy that all up?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was mostly like Sean, myself, and Zach, and we built the sets. Just kind of like based on like artwork that Pete gave us. And I think Sean animated most of Zeus, and then Zach animated most of Thor. So each character kind of had their own personality, their own characteristics of movement.
Awesome. Incredible team effort.
Yeah, it was just one of those things where like everything snapped into place, and it was just a flawless, production, and everything went really smoothly. And that's why I really like working with other YouTubers, especially when I do collaborations with corporations, businesses. Like a lot of times they don't really understand like the way something is made, or understand the audience that it's made for. Whereas with working with Pete, it's just I don't know. It's kind of like working with yourself. Like it's so fluid. It's like he understands the needs of and the qualifications of what it takes to be like someone on YouTube. So I think it's like those are the kind of collaborations I'm always looking for.
And with Stupid Buddy, did you do any other things besides the Lego Scooby-Doo?
Stupid Buddy, yeah, I've done the Lego Scooby-Doo stuff. I did I worked on a Lego Batman commercial for Target. I was like an animator on that. A few other spots here and there. I did some animation on the Lego Batman Blu-ray. Like there's some behind the scenes kind of like I guess it was like outtakes or things like little skits that they wrote to kind of be like special features on the Blu-ray. And they hired Stupid Buddy to do those, and I was hired as an animator. So
gives me a reason to buy that.
Anything I do, pretty much, I just animate. Like I don't work on the lighting. I don't do any like the writing or the voices or anything like that. They just basically hire me or Sean as the animator.
Okay. Well, I love the Target Batman one. That was one of the best ads.
It's cool to see ads like that because you're like, oh God, I know who did that. I mean, it's just just so professional and just so cool to see.
Yeah, what really struck me is like actually physically going to a Target and at the electronics section, like I've been a million times throughout my life, and seeing the commercial pop up on all the screens at once. I was just like, wow, I animated that shot, and now I'm watching it, in like a real life. It was a nice moment.
Sweet.
Yeah, really cool. So we were rewatching the Eames and Barry this morning, which is
thanks.
Fabulous.
Give it another review.
Yeah. Are you and Mason going to continue that?
Totally. Yeah, I really want to. It's something where like the third episode, I already have like ideas in my head of where it could go, and I think the characters are so real to me now and so real to Mason that we can drop them in any situation and we know how they'd react. We know like it's like a chemical reaction. Like we know it's almost like the script writes itself, because you just have to drop them in there, and then you know how like the characters would respond and work with each other, and how they'd work the situation out. So it's really fun to write it. It's really fun to voice it. And the thing is, just animating it just takes a long time. And when I first started the production, I thought it would be quicker to animate on the computer. But it turns out, when you have to physically build every object, and you have to physically build every movement, when you don't have the backing of like Lego to support, all your sets and all your props and everything, it really becomes tedious, because you're essentially creating a whole new, microcosm. You're creating a whole universe inside of this machine that doesn't always respond the way that you want it to respond. It's like no matter how fast my computer is, it's never fast enough to do the things, that I really want to do, like in real time.
Right.
What software were you using to create that?
It was all After Effects. It was all it was this plugin from Andrew Kramer in videocopilot.net, and it's actually called, let me look it up. Forgot what it's called. It's a 3D plugin essentially, though. It allows you to import objects that you can buy online. So I mostly use this website called Turbo Squid, and there you can buy jets or buildings or 3D models of cars or lampposts or fences and signs, and basically I bought all that stuff individually, and then I assembled it, and it was like a giant sandbox, and created my own sets, and that served as the background for the characters. But the characters were kind of done in a 2D traditional kind of like Charlie the Unicorn style or South Park kind of style, where it's almost kind of like stop motion, but it's still animated in the computer.
Okay.
Cool. So you're...
It's called Element 3D. Element.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it was really helpful. It was like something where like it's such a new technology, and it's essentially like 3D for dummies. You know, it makes 3D accessible for people like me, for people who don't want to, you know, download 3ds Max and like, you know, go through the rigors of learning all that. So it made the show really possible, and like it hadn't been before. And now that I've done it, now that I know the process of making the show, I think I can do it a lot quicker. It's just about putting aside the time to you know, do another episode.
Yeah, it's all about the time, isn't it?
Wow. Yeah, totally. Yeah, and if I can get paid to do it, that would be even better. But you know, eventually, if I get paid or not, I'll still make the third episode at some point.
Cool. We'll look forward to it.
Yeah.
So your latest mega hit brick films are Suicide Squad and Lego Captain America 3 Nazi Zombies, which have over 10 million views combined.
Yay.
Any fun or memorable moments from making those that you'd like to share? Some fun stories?
I mean, the whole thing was fun with Captain America Nazi Zombies. It kind of like, it took like, I think 9 months to make that. But the time went by so fast. I mean, it just flew by because every day was like a new shot and every day was a new challenge. And those are the kind of projects where I'm just, you know, at my happiest, at my place where I'm just like completely satisfied. But as soon as I'm off a project as good as that, I'm always trying to find the next project that'll like top it. You know, the next project that'll get, you know, 7 million views. Because if you think about it, like Lego Captain America versus Nazi Zombies, it's just such a good idea. I mean, I had the idea for a while, and those kinds of ideas don't just come around, you know, every day. You know, it's very rare to have an idea that good that you know connects that well. But with the Suicide Squad one, that was actually Sean's idea because he saw a clip online before the movie came out, and he's like, "This would be the perfect thing to do in Lego." You know, it's got Freddie Mercury. It's got, you know, all the best shots, all my favorite shots from the trailer, and I was working on Ames and Barry at the time, and I was like, I can't do it or whatever. But he talked me into it, and I'm glad he did because you know, it only took us 2 weeks, and it wasn't that much work, but it was, you know, it made a big impact. So I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, so it's not just that you have the great ideas, but you're able to execute them perfectly, and that's what makes your videos so brilliant. I mean, really.
Did you borrow Paul Hollingsworth's slider for the opening shot of Nazi Zombie 3?
Yeah, I did. That was the one time I used the slider. Generally, I'm not a huge fan of sliders because like they just take so much time to set up, and a lot of times they don't work correctly. But if you want a shot that's like mathematically exact, if you want something that is going to look like a fluid shot, you know, basically it's only good for that kind of shot. You know, where he is driving down a street, you know, and it's almost like a Wes Anderson movie. It's just completely following him, locked onto him down this road. And yeah, I want to use the slider again though for this new video I'm doing, because I'm like, how slow can the slider go? How you know, that was kind of like fast. It's an 8-foot slider, so I think we covered all 8 feet in that one shot.
Wow.
But like, how slow can we program it? Because I want to see if I can do the same type of shot, but tracking Batman walking down the street instead of driving. You know, Captain America driving. It would be Batman walking down the street, and I just want to see like how small those increments could really be.
Okay. And you didn't use that slider for one of Paul's? I think was it the Jurassic Park? You and Sean shot one scene using that. Is that correct?
On the Jurassic Park, I don't know. I'm sure. Yeah, Paul uses it all the time. But yeah, I think I animated like the shot where Robert Muldoon gets eaten by a velociraptor.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah. It's always fun working for Paul. He's always got some kind of new video he's working on, and it's cool too because, you know, he's also got a lot of connections to other animators and Lego builders, and it's been cool to be a part of that kind of community. Like he's introduced us to a lot of people.
Yeah, he definitely has a lot of great connections and is very talented himself.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we took a look at the Good Dinosaur project that y'all worked on together, and that was really cool.
Wow, talk about stunning work. I mean, that was just...
Yeah, that was a fun one. It was interesting too because that was the first video that I like hired another director to work on. I was so busy working on Nazi Zombies at the time that like Disney came to me and they wanted me to do this recreation of The Good Dinosaur and the whole trailer. They wanted me to do like the 2.5 minute trailer, and I was like, no way, there's no way I can do that. And they're like, okay, what if it's only the 30-second or like the minute long trailer or whatever? And I'm like, no, I can't do that. And I'm like, but you can, use Paul. I'm sure Paul would like to do it. And they're like, well, what if Paul directed the video for you but put it on your channel? Because a lot of the times I'm not getting hired for my ability, but I'm getting hired for partially my ability, but also my ability to get views, to bring in people, to bring in an audience.
Right.
So they really want it on my channel a lot of the times. And so I'm like, all right, I'll let Paul direct it, and it'll be on my channel. And it was kind of nerve-wracking because I'd never let anyone really be the director of a movie before, except for the Lego Batman Arkham fan film that Sean did. That was a case where I kind of bought that video from Sean, where he had already made it, and I saw it, and I was like, this is so good, it's got to, get more views, it's got to be up on my channel. Whereas this video, I commissioned Paul to make it from scratch, and it was kind of cool to be able to like relinquish some of that power and to keep working on my own thing, and then to come back and check on him periodically and see what had been done, almost like a producer, like in a producer role. It was interesting because things were still getting done, and they weren't always done exactly the way I would do them, but it was like, oh, that's an interesting way to do that, or like, that's an interesting choice, like, why did you make that choice? Or coming to the realization of like, different people's ways of working, and it was just a really good experience. And like, I'm really proud of the video, like how it turned out. Everybody. Paul just like he always works with like lots of different people, and it's cool to see like what each individual brings to the production.
Yeah, he's definitely got some good access to music through his connections. I think it was Voodoo Highway, and sound effects and whatnot. And speaking of those, do you make any of your own music anymore, or for Brick Films, or doing?
Oh yeah, sound effects? Yeah. I mean, I've never made my own music, but I've generally always used like stock music and Pond 5 and that kind of thing. But more recently, I've been working with this composer. His name is Zhao, and his name is Zhao Shen, and he's really really talented. I mean, he's someone. I think he's like 20 or something. I don't even, that might be completely wrong, but I think he's younger than I am, and he's just this young kid, and he's basically just able to create these like really cinematic kind of moments, and it's been really fun to play with, especially in this new Names and Barry, but then also in this new Lego Batman series. It's got more of a score. It's got more of like a tone to it, and more of a theme to it, and it's like it just makes it whenever you add something like that, it just makes it feel so much more complete.
Yeah,
Very
definitely. How many frames a second do you normally shoot in?
I mean, for most productions, it's 15. I mean, usually that's my frame rate of choice is 15 because it converts easily up to 30. A lot of the studios around here recently have been like, an advocate of 12 frames per second, but either 12 or 24 because that's like what film is shot at.
Mm-hmm.
But really, like, I think Robot's still at 15. It always has been, and that's kind of like what inspired me to start shooting at 15. 12, I think it can be good, but it's just not as vivid. It's not as like as real, because 15 is almost like a good hybrid between 12 and 24, where it's only 3 frames more, but it just almost looks like 24 because there's more of a urgency in the movements. At 12, it just it can just be a little bit too cartoony, I feel like. So there's definitely different, it basically just depends on the project. If you want something to have a more cartoony, whimsical look, I think 12 is good. But if you want something to have more of a visceral feel, then 15 or higher is the way to go. I know Keshan's recently, he's been shooting all his stuff at 24, and it just looks amazing.
Mm-hmm. It's not easy.
That's like, a good tip.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not easy at all. And like the next one I do after this Lego Batman series, I think the next Lego thing I do is going to have to be at 24 because I can't really go back to 15 after seeing that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to take even longer.
Yeah.
My
surprise.
difficulty with the 24, everything just seems rushed.
Right. So you have to account for that. You have to make the movements so minuscule that they're barely even. It's just like it's like relearning how to ride a bike. It's not even fun really. But once you get to that point where you feel like you have control over the speed, where you feel like it's not too fast, then I think it starts becoming really fun because you're like, oh wow, this looks so much more real than the stuff I've done before. Because when you have that higher frame rate, it gives you that higher I don't know the exact term. I think it's called damn it. Well, there's a term for it. It feels like you're there more. It's more realistic. Like how when you watch a Brotherhood Workshop film,
right?
He shoots at 24. It just feels more visceral. Like it feels like you're right. Especially if you do full screen, it feels like you're right there. And that's because it's just closer to what the human eye perceives as motion. And I think the closer you can get to that, the more like you feel right there. Like kind of like The Hobbit, at 120 FPS or no, not 120. It was like 48 frames, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys ever saw that in 48 frames. But it's like it's almost like you're watching a play. It's interesting.
Wow, I'll have to see it.
It's almost too real.
Yeah. Yeah, I think on movies, I think 48 is honestly too much. I think 24 is a good cutoff rate. But that being said, it would be interesting to see like a Lego brick film at 48 frames a second.
I bet you the pan shots look better.
Yeah, right. Yeah, totally. And you just get more detail for every second. The clarity, the detail is just there like it wasn't before. So like that really it's like it gets me excited about the future.
Cool. And do you happen to have a favorite brick film that you've created for whatever reason?
It's probably got to be the Nazi zombie one, just because it's so it's so big.
Oh, I think even Donald Faison tweeted like "damn" or something like that because it was so good.
Yeah, the whole point of that video was just to make something that could not be ignored. Like, it has to be so good that there's no one in their right mind who would watch it and then not share it.
Do you have a box of dead Lego with holes in them?
Oh, I've got more than a box. I think. I think I spent a lot of money on Lego in that one, just because a lot of those Legos were custom, and every time you destroy it, it's like you could reuse it again, but only to a certain point, because eventually you just have to replace it. I never really do the calculations on how much I spent, because it's like I don't even really want to know. But yeah, it was probably like at least $10,000 or more. Wow. Just like getting everything that was required to make that movie.
Wow.
Right off.
Yeah, no, totally. It's all for the business. Yep. Like you can justify it at that point.
Yeah.
So do you listen to any music or podcast, TV while you animate?
Yeah, I've been really into podcasts recently. Just listening to stuff that like gives me information is really helpful, because it's fun to like listen to music. It's fun to like watch movies, but like it's something like I'm in a mindset where I'm like creating, where I want to like take in information, and I found like when I'm animating, that's a good time to listen to these kinds of things. Like I've been listening to Script Notes, which is a good podcast if you want to get better at writing screenplays and scripts, and I've been listening to like just other stuff too, like Red Letter Media, and I'm gonna start listening to your guys' stuff after this, because I'm curious. I got all these good Brickfilmers on. I want to see what they, how they responded to some of these questions.
Well, the Brickfilmers are the talent, not us.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have an environment where people are capable of opening up about their experiences and like what they've made, and I think you guys have a keen eye and observation for that, because you're Brickfilmers yourselves.
Thank you. Do you have a process for creating brick film, like storyboard or animatics beyond the script?
I mean, sometimes it depends on the project. Really, if I'm working for a client, then it's generally best to have a storyboard so they can approve it, and they can and you can kind of give them an idea of what you're going for. If you don't have a storyboard, at least having a script for them usually a necessity. But if it's my own project, like Captain America, Nazi zombies, or what have you, it's just for me. It's I have the whole video already made in my head, and it's just about getting it onto the computer. So I don't it's almost more fun not to have a storyboard, I think.
I did one or two when I first started brick filming, and I realized I could make prettier pictures in my head.
Yeah, right. Sean's really good at it. Sean's actually gotten a lot of work recently, just drawing the storyboards for people around Hollywood, because there's always this constant need for storyboards, and because every video that you make, no matter how small for a client, is always going to have a storyboard. And it can be really good and really informative, but I think it can be limiting at the same time, because like, what if there's a better way to shoot this scene? Like, what if on the day you come to the set and sure, the storyboard says we should have a wide here, but what if we want to have a close up instead? It's just something that you have to, I think, be flexible with.
Cool.
Yeah, true. And it's hard sometimes. They'll know what they want, but they don't realize how it gets done, and it's not always possible to animate what they think they want. There's kind of better ways, like you said, to go about doing it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, totally. It's just you have to be able to be able to change and to adapt to whatever comes at you, for sure.
So how do you sort your Lego? By color, by piece?
Or not at all?
Yeah, or not at all.
I think just by color. Yeah, I mean, it's not a very advanced system. I've got lots and lots of bins of just Lego that's like, completely, good Lego, but it's just like not sorted whatsoever. Whenever I sort it, it ends up just getting unsorted like right away. So it's usually easier for me just to like buy new sets and then like use those. But yeah, like I'm gonna be like my friend Brian eventually one day. Brian Hines, he's got the most Lego I've ever seen, and it's just like at this point in his life, I think he's like 40, and it's just like he's been collecting it since he was my age or whatever. So I'm just thinking about how not to be like completely drowning in a sea of Lego by the time I'm that age, because he's at the stage now where he's like, I got to start getting rid of some, but he's even more of a rabid Lego fan than I am. So it's kind of like, how do you begin to get rid of Lego? It's gold.
You don't. Yeah, you don't.
And
Period.
You recently used one of his sets in one of your new Batmans, right?
Yeah. He built the police headquarters set where Gordon talks to Nightwing, and yeah, he just did such a good job. He's an actual architect in real life, so he helps like construct theaters for like directors in Hollywood, like home theaters, and he brings a real like practical like kind of like design application to the whole Lego thing, because like he's done like real buildings, real rooms.
So do you ever submit any of your brick films to any brick film festivals?
Or
I know
film festivals.
They have film festivals all over the world now these days, brick filming ones, which is really cool.
Yeah, I would, but it's just never been my bag. Like I've never like really sought the adulation, I guess. Like the kind of like, I mean, there's different reasons to submit to a film festival, but for me, it's like I know my films are good, and I don't really need anyone to tell me that they're good or to win any kind of awards for them.
And plus, you already have a big enough audience, I guess. You don't really need that. Plus, it doesn't hurt to get free Lego, though.
But like the cool thing about, I think, some of those competitions like that I've always been curious about is like doing it in a time limit, like the 48-hour film festival, or like the ones where you have to do it in 24 hours or whatever. Those are kind of interesting because it's like then there's that deadline and there's that kind of like that kind of like even ground with everybody else.
Right.
Cool. Are you ever going to create a website again? I think you've had to, but I couldn't find one for current.
Oh, yeah, I used to have a website, but I just realized, like, there's no real point to have a website when I already have, like, a Twitter and a Facebook and a YouTube channel. So I didn't want to, like, overcomplicate things.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
So do you have any pets?
Yeah, I just got a dog recently. His name's Ford, Harrison Ford.
Oh.
And, yeah, he's really cute. He's a 3-year-old Basset Hound. And he's like a Dachshund and Basset Hound mix. So
Okay.
it's a really interesting mix. He's really special. He's got like kind of a bigger dog body and face, but then he's got really short legs.
Does he have a real low
And,
voice? Bark?
Yeah, he's got an impressive bark. I mean, overall, he's a very impressive dog.
Have you shared pictures? I'm gonna have
I
to
like
look.
him a lot.
I want to see him.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture of him. Yeah,
Awesome.
he's definitely like worth it. He's super cute.
Yeah, we love our fur babies. We have 3 dogs and a cat now, so
Oh wow,
yeah.
that's pretty cool.
It is, but we love them all. They're our babies, so you know.
Yeah, of course. That's great. Yeah, I didn't have a dog for a while, and it was just like it was time to get a new dog, and I'm glad I did because yeah, he's really nice.
I'm glad you did too, because there's nothing like them, really.
Yeah, right.
So I guess we've probably monopolized enough of your time, probably more than you expected, but you know, we could stay here all day and talk to you.
Oh no, I mean me too. I'm having a great time. I really enjoy answering questions about my life and getting kind of like the third person perspective on everything. It's interesting.
Well, we really appreciate you taking the time, and we know everybody's going to enjoy hearing your stories, and really can't wait to see everything else that you create.
Yeah, and same with you guys. I'm gonna listen to more of these podcasts, and you should definitely have. And I can help you out with this, but you should definitely have like Keshin and Sean on. I think that would be enjoyable.
Well,
Yeah,
let them know it was
they're
fun.
on our list. Yeah, right. They're on our list, so I will definitely be contacting them.
Cool.
Appreciate
Cool.
it. So anything
Yeah.
else if you want to promote anything? Otherwise, we will make sure everybody has all of your links to find all of your great work.
Yeah, yeah, it's all online. That's all you need.
Well, excellent.
And the duck shirt. Got to get the duck shirt.
Oh yeah, don't forget to buy the duck shirt. Yeah, of course.
Of course, that's when we told our daughter that we were interviewing you today. She's like, "Is that the duck song guy?" We're like, "Yep, that's him."
You bet.
So you'll always be known as the duck song guy to her.
That's awesome.
It is.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to have something that like is so that so many people have seen. There's so many people that I meet. Who have seen the video, and it's a good like jumping off point. It's a good starting point.
Definitely, and you can tell when a kid sees the shirt that they automatically recognize it, and it's fun. It just really is. It's very sweet.
That's cool. All right.
So
Well,
enjoy
thank
the
you.
rest of your day, and thanks again. And we're happy to have you on anytime. So anytime you have some new things going on, and we're
Great.
happy to talk to you anytime.
Might even be fun to have it with a couple other folks at the same
Yeah,
time.
I could do that too.
So
For sure.
thank you again, Forrest.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
No problem whatsoever. Had a blast. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much to Forrest for being incredibly generous with his time, and thanks to everyone who has stuck with us through this entire podcast. Here's a couple of show notes I just want to add in. I think we over-exaggerated the effect that the Nick News interview had on Forrest's success. There may have been a small bump in his subscribers, but he was well on his way to success long before that even aired and just continued to grow rapidly from there. I think I was just super excited to see him on TV, and that just spilled over into the interview. Also, there was one point during the recording where we lost our Skype call. I may or may not have cursed, but it was all in good fun and, of course, edited out. I'm very silly and sometimes weird, and I love making people laugh. Feel free to guess where the connection got lost. Post your guesses in the comments, and I'll let you know if you're right. Please check out our sponsors and partners on the Brickfilmers Guild homepage, and don't forget to check out the amazing videos on the Forest Fire 101 YouTube channel. All of the links are listed below the video. We want to give a huge thank you to our Patreon supporters, Spuggastew and Something's Awry Productions. We love you guys. You rock. If you would like to sponsor one of our podcasts, please contact me through one of our social media sites. We'd also like to thank Kevin MacLeod for his wonderful music, which we use for our podcast and in our brick films. Also, if you're listening to this podcast on iTunes, please rate and comment. We'd really appreciate that. So, until next time, bye y'all!